Picture yourself in a region, a land of golden light and shimmering forges, where the air rings with the song of hammers striking metal. The year is deep in the Second Age, and the elves are at the height of their craft. Among them stands Celebrimbor, grandson of the legendary Feanor, his eyes alight with the fire of creation. His Gwath y Myrdain, the brotherhood of jewelsmiths, shape treasures that rival the works of the gods themselves. Into this world steps a stranger, cloaked in charm and mystery. He calls himself Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, and his words promise wonders beyond imagining. But what if this gift is a trap, a seed of darkness that will grow into the most powerful weapon Middle-earth has ever known? Welcome to the story of the One Ring, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and destiny. Today, we'll unravel its secrets, how it was forged, how it ruled, and how it fell. So let's step into Middle-earth and discover the truth behind the One Ring. Celebrimbor was no ordinary elf. His lineage tied him to the Silmarils, the greatest jewels ever crafted, and his skill surpassed even the masters of old. The Gwaith y Myrdain, under his leadership, wove magic into their works, creating artifacts that glowed with an inner light. Yet Celebrimbor hungered for more. Not power, but the ability to preserve the beauty of Middle-earth against the ravages of time. Anatar's arrival seemed a stroke of fate. He claimed to be a Maya, a divine being who had studied under Ole, the Vala of crafting. His knowledge was vast, his demeanor generous, and his offer irresistible. A secret art called ring lore. Ring lore was no mere technique. It was a form of alchemy, a way to forge rings that could amplify the wearer's strength, extend life, and even touch the unseen world of spirits and shadows. To Celebrimbor, it was the key to his dreams, a way to protect and enhance the realms of the elves. He welcomed Anatar, and together they began a partnership that would change Middle-earth forever. But Anatar was no friend. Beneath his fair guise lurked Sauron, the fallen Maya, once a servant of the Dark Lord Morgoth. Sauron's heart burned with a single desire: to dominate Middle-earth, to shape it into a perfect, ordered world under his iron will. Sauron's plan was cunning. He knew he could not conquer the elves by force alone. Their strength and wisdom were too great. Instead, he would ensnare them through their own desires. Ringlore was his creation, a gift laced with his own essence. Every ring forged with it carried a piece of his spirit, a shadow of his will. Celebrimbor, unaware of the deception, embraced the art. Over years, he and Sauron crafted 16 rings together, 9 destined for men, 7 for dwarves. These rings were marvels, granting their bearers enhanced abilities, prolonged life, and glimpses of the unseen. The men who wore the 9 became mighty kings, their power magnified. The dwarves who bore the 7 grew wealthy, their halls filled with gold. But each ring was a link in a chain Sauron was forging. Celebrimbor, however, was not entirely blind. A flicker of doubt stirred in his heart, a sense that Anatar's generosity hid a darker purpose. In secret, he turned his skill to a new task. Alone, without Sauron's aid, he forged 3 rings for the elves: Nenya, the ring of water; Vilya, the ring of air; and Narya, the ring of fire. These were his masterpieces, imbued with his own spirit, crafted to heal, preserve, and inspire. Nenya would protect Lothlorien, Vilya would strengthen Rivendell, and Narya would kindle hope in the hearts of the weary. They were pure, untouched by Sauron's hand, yet they were not free of his influence. Celebrimbor had used ring lore to create them, and that art was Sauron's domain. The 3 rings, though noble, were tethered to the same web as the others. The 16 rings were distributed, their power spreading across Middle-earth. The 9 ensnared men who craved dominion. The 7 fueled the dwarves' greed, though their stubborn hearts resisted full control. The elves, however, kept their 3 rings hidden, sensing the danger. Sauron's plan was nearing its climax, but he needed one final piece to complete his vision. He bid farewell to Eregion, leaving Celebrimbor to his forges, and journeyed to Mordor, where the fires of Mount Doom burned eternal. There, in the heart of his dark realm, he would forge a ring to rule them all. The creation of the One Ring was a moment of triumph and hubris. Sauron stood in the Samath Naur, the chambers of fire, where the heat of Mount Doom could melt even the hardest metals. He was no mere craftsman. He was a Maya, a being of divine power, and his ambition was boundless. The ring he planned would be unlike any other, a masterwork that would bind every ring of power to his will. But such power required sacrifice. Sauron knew that to create the One Ring, he would have to pour a vast portion of his own strength into it, making himself vulnerable in ways he had never been before. As the forges of Eregion cooled, the fires of Mordor blazed. Sauron's plan was taking shape, but the elves were not yet defeated. Celebrimbor's suspicion grew, and the seeds of resistance were sown. The One Ring was coming, and with it, a war that would shake the foundations of Middle-earth. Let's follow Sauron to Mordor, where the true nature of his gift will be revealed, and the One Ring will take its first steps into legend. The air in Mordor is thick with ash, the sky a shroud of red and black. Deep within Mount Doom, Sauron stands alone, his silhouette framed by the glow of molten gold. The Sammath Naur, the chambers of fire, hums with power, a crucible of creation and destruction. Here, Sauron will forge his greatest weapon, a ring to bind all others, a ring to make him the unchallenged Lord of Middle-earth. This is the birth of the One Ring, a masterpiece of malice and dominion. The One Ring was no ordinary artifact. While the 16 rings were crafted with Celebrimbor's skill, and the 3 elven rings bore his pure intent, this ring was Sauron's alone. Into it, he poured a vast portion of his essence, his strength, his malice, his will to control. The ring was deceptively simple, a plain band of gold inscribed with fiery Tengwar script, but its power was immense. It amplified the wearer's abilities, slowed the decay of time, and granted access to the unseen world where spirits and shadows dwell. Yet its true purpose was far darker. The One Ring was a key, a master control that linked it to every other ring of power. This connection was at the heart of Sauron's plan. Every ring of power, 9 for men, 7 for dwarves, 3 for elves, was forged using his ring lore, a craft he had taught Celebrimbor. That art carried his essence, making each ring a thread in a vast web. The One Ring was the spider at the center, capable of pulling every thread. When Sauron donned the One Ring, he could sense the bearers of the other rings, influence their thoughts, and bend them to his will. The 9 enslaved men, transforming them into the Nazgul, wraiths bound to his service. The 7 fueled the dwarves' greed, though their resilience kept them from total submission. The 3 elven rings, though crafted without Sauron's touch, were not immune. When Sauron first wore the One Ring, the elves, Galadriel, Elrond, and Círdan, sensed his presence and removed their rings, thwarting his plan to enslave them. The One Ring's power came at a terrible cost. By investing so much of himself in it, Sauron tied his fate to the ring. As long as it existed, he could never be fully defeated, his spirit anchored to Middle-earth. But if the ring were destroyed, his power would crumble, leaving him a shadow of his former self. This was a risk Sauron accepted, for he believed no one could challenge him. The ring was designed for his hand alone, a tool of dominion that could not be wielded for good. Its malice was absolute, its purpose to corrupt and control. The forging of the One Ring was a triumph, but it sparked a war. When Sauron donned the ring and declared himself Lord, his voice echoed in the minds of the elves. Celebrimbor, betrayed, realized the truth of Anatar's identity. He hid the 3 elven rings, entrusting them to Galadriel, Elrond, and Círdan, and rallied the elves against Sauron. Eregion was laid to waste, Celebrimbor slain, but the elves' resistance kept Sauron from total victory. The One Ring gave him dominion over men and influence over dwarves, but the elves remained free, their rings hidden from his grasp. Sauron's ambition had created a weapon of unparalleled power, but it also exposed his greatest weakness. The One Ring was his strength and his vulnerability, a paradox that would shape the history of Middle-earth. Its creation marked the beginning of a new era, one of conquest and resistance, where the fate of nations hung on a single band of gold. The elves had been outwitted, but they were not defeated. The stage was set for a struggle that would span millennia. As we leave the fires of Mount Doom, we turn to the ring's journey through Middle-earth. It will pass from Sauron's hand to heroes and villains, each bearer tested by its power. The One Ring is more than a tool. It is a force that shapes destinies, revealing the strength and weakness of every heart it touches. Let's follow its path from the battlefields of the Second Age to the quiet rivers of the Third, and see how a single ring can change the world. The One Ring gleams on Sauron's finger, a symbol of his unchallenged rule. For thousands of years, he wields it to conquer Middle-earth, bending men to his will and casting a shadow over the world. The Nazgul, bound by the Nine, hunt his enemies, while his armies crush resistance. Yet even the mightiest can fall, and the ring's journey is about to take a turn no one could foresee, guided by a power greater than Sauron's malice. At the end of the Second Age, a last alliance of elves, men, dwarves, and others marches against Sauron. Gil-galad and Elendil lead the charge, their banners bright against Mordor's gloom. In a desperate battle on the slopes of Mount Doom, Sauron is struck down, his body broken. Isildur, Elendil's son, cuts the One Ring from Sauron's hand, claiming it as weregild for his father's death. The movies paint Isildur as a greedy fool standing at the cracks of doom and refusing to destroy the ring. But Tolkien's truth is different. Isildur was no villain. The ring burned his hand, a constant torment, and he wrote of its pain, calling it a burden he could not master. He intended to deliver it to the keepers of the three elven rings, a noble plan cut short by fate. Ambushed by orcs in the Gladden fields, Isildur fled, his heart heavy with loss. At the Anduin River, he donned the ring to escape, its power cloaking him in invisibility. But the ring, alive with Sauron's will, slipped from his finger, sinking into the river's depths. This was no betrayal by the ring, as the films suggest, but a twist of destiny. Tolkien calls it chance, but in Middle-earth, chance often bears the mark of Ilúvatar, the one who guides the world's music. Isildur, freed from the ring's weight, was slain by orcs, his body lost to the river. The One Ring vanished, its power dormant but undimmed. For 2,461 years, the ring lay hidden in the Anduin, a silent witness to the passing ages. Sauron, diminished to a mere spirit, bided his time in the shadows, unable to reclaim his lost strength. Middle-earth breathed easier, the elven rings safe in their keeper's hands. Then, in the Third Age, a store hobbit named Déagol found the ring while fishing. His joy was short-lived. His friend Sméagol, consumed by greed, murdered him and claimed the ring as his birthday present. The ring latched onto Sméagol's dark desires, amplifying them until he became Gollum, a wretched creature driven by obsession. For 478 years, he hid in the misty mountains, the ring twisting his body and mind, yet never fully breaking his hobbit resilience. The ring's power was tied to intent. Sméagol's act of murder opened the door to its corruption, but a different bearer would soon show its limits. In the Third Age, Bilbo Baggins, a hobbit of the Shire, stumbled upon Gollum's cave. Lost and afraid, Bilbo found the ring by chance, another twist of Ilúvatar's will. When he met Gollum, he had every reason to kill him, yet he chose pity, sparing the creature's life. This act defined Bilbo's relationship with the ring. For 60 years, he bore it, using it sparingly and never claiming it as his own. The ring, unable to find ambition or malice to feed on, could not corrupt him as it had Sméagol. Bilbo's kindness was a shield, a testament to the strength of a humble heart. The ring's journey was far from over. Bilbo's act of pity would ripple through time, setting the stage for the ring's final bearer. But its path was guided not by chance alone, but by a purpose woven into the fabric of Middle-earth. As we close this chapter, consider the ring's power to shape destinies, and how a single choice, murder or mercy, can alter its course. If you're as fascinated by this tale as I am, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of Isildur's choice? Let's keep exploring as we follow the ring to its next bearer, a hobbit named Frodo, and the quest that will decide Middle-earth's fate. The One Ring rests in the Shire, hidden in an envelope, its power a quiet whisper in the life of Bilbo Baggins. For 60 years it has waited, unable to corrupt a heart ruled by kindness. But the world is stirring. Sauron's shadow grows in Mordor, and the ring senses its master's return. Its journey now falls to a new bearer, Frodo Baggins, a hobbit whose courage will be tested by a burden heavier than any in Middle-earth. Bilbo's time with this ring ended with a remarkable act. With Gandalf's urging, he gave it up, the first bearer in history to relinquish it willingly. The ring passed to Frodo, his nephew, who accepted it not as a prize, but as a duty. For 17 years, Frodo kept it hidden, unaware of its true nature until Gandalf returned with grim news. The ring was Sauron's, and the Dark Lord was hunting it. Frodo's quest began, a journey to destroy the ring in the fires of Mount Doom, the only place it could be unmade. But the ring was no passive object. Alive with Sauron's will, it sought to return to its master, tempting Frodo at every step. The ring's power was insidious. It amplified Frodo's fears, weighed on his spirit, and whispered promises of safety and strength. Yet Frodo resisted, not because he was mighty, but because he was humble. He never claimed the ring as his own, using it only in moments of desperation, fleeing Nazgul, escaping Boromir's grasp. Each use took a toll, drawing him closer to the unseen world, where the ring's malice was strongest. The ring preyed on ambition, but Frodo's lack of it was his shield. Still, it was a shield that could not hold forever. Frodo's journey was marked by companions who shaped the ring's path. Gandalf, who held it briefly but refused its temptation, guided Frodo with wisdom. Galadriel, bearer of Nenya, faced the ring's allure and chose to remain herself, a beacon of hope. Samwise Gamgee, Frodo's loyal friend, bore the ring for a single day after Shelob's attack, feeling its weight but rejecting its visions of grandeur. Sam's love for Frodo and his simple desire for a garden kept him grounded, a contrast to the ring's hunger for dominion. Even Tom Bombadil, an enigmatic figure, briefly held the ring, unaffected by its power. His lack of ambition gave the ring nothing to grasp, a fleeting glimpse of a world beyond its reach. The ring's journey tested the hearts of all who encountered it, but none more than Frodo. As he neared Mordor, the ring's influence grew, a constant pressure on his mind and body. At Amon Hen, it nearly betrayed him to Sauron's eye. At Cirith Ungol, it drove Gollum to treachery. Yet Frodo pressed on, driven by duty and the faint hope of saving the Shire. The ring's power was tied to intent, and Frodo's intent was pure, but purity alone could not destroy it. Tolkien wrote that no will, not even Sauron's, could cast the ring into the fire. Frodo's strength would carry him to the cracks of doom, but the final act would require something more. The ring's journey through Frodo's hands was a testament to the resilience of the small against the mighty. His humility, bolstered by the love of his friends, kept the ring at bay, but it could not erase its toll. As we move to the next chapter, we'll see how Frodo's quest reaches its climax, and how the ring's own nature leads to its downfall. The One Ring is a force of corruption, but it is also a prisoner of its own design, bound by the will of a greater power. The One Ring hangs heavy around Frodo's neck, its weight a constant reminder of his mission. He stands on the slopes of Mount Doom, the air thick with sulfur, the ground trembling beneath his feet. Samwise Gamgee walks beside him, his loyalty unwavering despite the desolation of Mordor. The ring has brought them here, to the heart of Sauron's realm, but its power is at its peak, and Frodo's strength is fading. This is the moment when the One Ring's fate will be decided, not by might, but by mercy, treachery, and the unseen hand of destiny. Frodo's journey has been a crucible, each step a battle against the ring's will. At the cracks of doom, he stands before the fire where the ring was forged, the only place it can be destroyed. The ring whispers to him, promising power, safety, even the chance to save Middle-earth. Frodo, exhausted and worn, succumbs. He claims the ring as his own, declaring, "The ring is mine," and slips it onto his finger. The power in Barad-dûr trembles. Sauron's eye turns to Mount Doom, realizing his folly. Frodo's failure is not weakness, but a truth Tolkien made clear. No one, not even Sauron, could willingly destroy the ring. Its hold was absolute, its lure irresistible. Yet the ring's destruction was never Frodo's alone to achieve. The key lies in Gollum, the creature shaped by the ring's malice. Gollum's story began with murder, his heart open to the ring's corruption. Yet Bilbo's pity spared him, Frodo's mercy kept him alive, and Sam's compassion allowed him to follow. At the cracks of doom, Gollum attacks, biting the ring from Frodo's finger in a final act of treachery. But the ring betrays him. Frodo, wielding its power moments earlier, had cursed Gollum, saying, "If you touch me again, you shall be cast into the fire of doom." Gollum's oath on the ring, sworn to serve Frodo, was binding, and his betrayal invoked its curse. He stumbles, falls, and plunges into the fire, the ring melting in the flames. This was no accident. Tolkien wrote of an other power at work, the will of Ilúvatar, the one who shaped Middle-earth. Ilúvatar's design ensured that evil, no matter how strong, would destroy itself. The ring's own malice, its curse on Gollum, its temptation of Frodo, led to its end. The pity of Bilbo, Frodo, and Sam wove a thread of mercy that Ilúvatar used to unravel Sauron's plan. The One Ring, created to dominate, was undone by its own nature, a paradox of power and weakness. With the ring's destruction, Sauron's power collapsed. His spirit, tied to the ring, was maimed forever, reduced to a mere shadow, unable to rise again. The Nazgul perished, the Elven rings faded, and Middle-earth was freed from his shadow. The One Ring's fall was a victory not of swords, but of hearts that chose compassion over vengeance. As we approach the final chapter, we'll reflect on the ring's legacy and the lessons it holds for Middle-earth and beyond. The fires of Mount Doom have cooled, the One Ring melted into memory. Sauron's towers crumble, his armies scatter, and the free peoples of Middle-earth breathe free. Yet the ring's shadow lingers, a reminder of its power and the cost of its destruction. This is the legacy of the One Ring, a story of ambition, sacrifice, and the enduring strength of the humble. Let's explore what the ring's tale teaches us and why it remains one of Tolkien's greatest creations. The One Ring was more than a weapon. It was a mirror reflecting the desires and fears of those who encountered it. For Sauron, it was a tool of dominion, a way to impose his vision on the world. For Celebrimbor, it was a betrayal, the cost of trusting a false friend. For Isildur, it was a burden, a prize he could not wield. For Sméagol, it was an obsession, turning him into Gollum. For Bilbo, it was a curiosity, tempered by his kindness. For Frodo, it was a duty, a weight that nearly broke him. Each bearer revealed a facet of the ring's power, but also its limits. The ring could corrupt, but it could not conquer a heart free of ambition. The ring's influence extended beyond its bearers. The three elven rings, though pure, depended on its existence. When the One Ring was destroyed, Nenya, Vilya, and Narya lost their power, and the beauty they preserved began to fade. Galadriel's Lothlorien dimmed, Elrond's Rivendell waned, and the elves prepared to leave Middle-earth. The ring's destruction was a victory, but it came at a ken, marking the end of an age. The dwarves' seven rings too lost their potency, their halls growing silent. Even Saruman, the wizard who dreamed of rivaling Sauron, was undone. His own ring, forged with Sauron's ring lore, faded with the One, his ambitions reduced to ash. Saruman's story, a fleeting echo of Sauron's, shows that no one could escape the web of ring lore. The ring's legacy is also a testament to Ilúvatar's design. Tolkien wrote that all things, even evil, serve the One's purpose. Sauron's ambition created the ring, but Ilúvatar ensured its destruction. The pity of Bilbo, Frodo, and Sam, the treachery of Gollum, and the ring's own malice were threads in a tapestry woven by a higher power. The One Ring, meant to enslave, became the instrument of Sauron's defeat, a reminder that no evil is eternal. This theme runs through Tolkien's legendarium, from the fall of Morgoth to the breaking of the Silmarils. The One Ring is its clearest expression, a story where mercy triumphs over might. For Tolkien, the ring was more than a plot device. It was a symbol of power and its perils, inspired by his own experiences and philosophies. The ring's ability to corrupt reflects the temptations of absolute power, a warning relevant beyond Middle-earth. Yet its destruction through compassion speaks to Tolkien's belief in the redemptive power of kindness. Frodo's failure at the cracks of doom is not a flaw, but a truth. No one is immune to temptation, but redemption lies in the choices of others. Bilbo's pity, Sam's loyalty, and even Gollum's treachery were necessary, a collective act of grace that saved Middle-earth. The One Ring story is a masterpiece of storytelling, blending myth, morality, and mystery. It captivates because it is both epic and intimate, a tale of gods and hobbits, of battles and quiet moments of choice. Its legacy endures in the hearts of readers and viewers, a reminder that even the smallest can change the world. As we close this journey, I hope you've seen the One Ring in a new light, not just as a ring of power, but as a story of hope and humanity. If you love this dive into Middle-earth, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think was the ring's true hero? Let's keep the conversation going, and I'll see you in the next adventure. As we close this journey through Middle-earth, I hope the One Ring's tale has sparked your love for Tolkien's world, a story where even the smallest acts of kindness can change fate. If this adventure stirred your heart, give this video a like, subscribe to join our fellowship, and share your thoughts below. Who do you believe was the true hero of the Ring's story? Let's keep the fires of this tale burning, and I'll see you in our next quest.